Hi, students. This is Mr. Ulmer, and I want to hit on some things from last week. And just to make sure, for the genre piece, and I want to hit on some books that I thought were that I've seen in the classroom and nicely done. So, in the picture genre, where the wild things are, Knuffle Bunny, Stella Luna, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and the Very Hungry Caterpillar. I've seen several times within the classroom. One in particular that I use with the counselor is The Giving Tree. It's a very powerful book that has a great message and great to use in the counseling type setting. Moving on to traditional and modern fantasy, I have a teacher that's a huge Harry Potter fan, has made the trip to England and followed the steps of Harry Potter. My wife and I were the kind of people that waited for the books to come out, and we would have them read within a day. We'd order early. We were those people, and so we enjoyed the Harry Potter series immensely. We couldn't wait for the movies to come out. The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe. I've seen excellent. I've also seen that turn into plays that were excellent. Was a good choice of how to use the students and get them engaged with their reading. Charlotte Webb, A Wrinkle in Time, and The Lightning Thief, all of which I've seen used within the classroom. Poetry. These three I actually use in my office with students who usually are there for good things. When Where the Sidewalk Ends and Falling Up, and the Jack Berletsky, The New Kid on the Block. Realistic and historical fiction. One of the first books that I used with students was the Watsons Go to Birmingham when I was a fifth grade teacher. One of my favorites. I've also seen that turned into a play as well. Huckleberry Finn, A Boy in Striped Pajamas. That was actually a book that my wife's class just recently read. She teaches a reading seminar to eighth grade students, and that was a book that they read together. Because of Winn-Dixie is a popular one at our house because my kids enjoy the book, and we always get books on CD before we take long trips, and that's one of them that's available at the Latha Library, and so we always get that one before we take a trip. With that, the next one, looking at biographies. Anne Frank is a popular one. I have seen that in the middle school. Helen Keller books. We have several teachers throughout the book or throughout the school that teach about Helen Keller, and so those books were excellent and used in Locomotive. My librarian likes to use that book and read it as a read aloud to students. Multicultural and international. Esperanza, Esperanza Rising. My fifth graders are actually reading that now. It's a popular book with my teachers. They enjoy it. When I walk in, they're having great discussions. And so another one that I've used before, and this was with sixth graders, was the book Wonder. I teach about empathy, and usually it's a book I recommend in bullying situations. One of the things that I want to hit on, moving into next week, we want to look at, just give you a basic idea how your forums are being graded. Your initial statement for your forums is worth about half the point. So whether it's a part of the discussion or whether it's the wholes piece, your first part, if it's the wholes, it's worth 20 points. If it's the forum discussions, it's worth 10. And that's your initial statement. Any comments that you make in that discussion is worth about 3 points for the basic forums, and then for the wholes, it's 4 points. And to acknowledge that you've read it is worth 1 point. So be aware of that while you do the forums. And for wholes, it's also worth 4 points, just the read part, and because it's really hard to respond to each other within the wholes piece. I do want you to recognize that wholes, the book will continue on, and there'll be lesson plan. Your assignment 5 and 6 will be using the information from your wholes book to develop a lesson plan So be aware of that. So what you're doing now is kind of laying the groundwork to make that happen. I also want you to look ahead at your final, because it's all encompassing, and I want you to recognize that that's big, and it's coming down the line. I also want to hit on the fact that I did um, recognize that most of your assignments in the past on the online classes that were due on Sunday, and I'm more than happy to extend that. I also recognize that after the first week, it's hard to respond to your classmates when they're getting it done on Saturday, and it looks like that's the time when it is available for you guys to get things done. And so I think extending it to Sunday will help you with the forums and help you get those all hammered out and discussed out like they should. So I did extend the deadlines each week or to Sundays. It looked like the journal, the exit slip had an issue, and I'll get that fixed for next week going into it. Um, in the future, if you have a hard time turning something in, feel free to send it to me via email, and we'll get it in there and make sure it's part of the grading process. Um, with that, I want to hit on one thing that in our discussion about genres last week, we did a little survivor game, and many of you agreed. One of the genres I thought we hit, that was only brushed on lightly during that piece, was the picture books. For emerging readers, there is no other genre that is as important as the picture books. Whether it's simply pictures or just pictures in a few words, it's those pictures that bring in those emerging readers and drives the story for them and helps them make some inferences back and forth as they emerge, based on words and things like that, and so that they start their word recognition and that sort of thing. So I think that was missed as an important piece within the elementary classroom. I think as they get older, I think you nailed the older students at the elementary level, but really in the younger grades, there's nothing beats a picture book. And that leads into next week really nice, because we're going to be talking about illustrators and their role in children's literature and how important they are to our students and to teaching, and what you can do with them. I've seen some really cool activities with inferencing and pre reading activities using the pictures. So I want you to be thinking about that kind of thing as we move into this week. Thank you and good luck.